Allah. I mean, it almost seems like it's a different God that they're praying to.
No, it's the same. It is the same word. In fact, it's not only the same word. It all comes from the word al, which means powerful. And therefore, there are many names for God in the Quran. You'll find not only Allah, but you'll find Ilah. I'll explain the difference in a moment. You'll find Rahman, let's say in Surah 19, just like in Tanakh. But it's the same Semitic language, but it's so close that, for instance, let's take the name Ilah, okay, which means God in Arabic and in the Quran. That word, it operates exactly like in the Ten Commandments. You shall have no other gods on my face. So that word Elohim in that context of Exodus 20 means a false god. And Ilah can mean a false god, like saying La ilaha illallah. There is no God, meaning false god, but Allah, the true God. So we use the same name, the same shoresh, the same root, which could mean the true God or a false God. So, of course, it's the same God. And I just say it, Christians who say that Muslims do not worship the God of the God of Abraham, when you say that to a Muslim, you are making yourself look like a complete idiot. And Muslims will laugh at you. They believe not only that Abraham was a prophet who was a Muslim, but not in real, doesn't mean if you walked over to Abraham and asked him what's your belief, say I'm a Muslim. It's an Arabic word. It means that Abraham submitted himself before God. And every Muslim believes that Yitzchak was a prophet. And every Muslim believed, in fact, most of the prophets, the 25 prophets in the Quran, were Jewish. And Yaakov was a prophet. So therefore they believe in the God of many, many prophets, including Avraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, of blessed memory. And Christians who tell Muslims that they worship moon gods and shmoon gods and all these things, I really want to save you embarrassment, because the Muslims are going, this person needs medication. They have no idea what you're talking about. They worship one true God, and therefore Islam has a unique status and great respect in the Jewish faith.
I listened to Religion on the Line, which comes out on Sunday morning. Rabbi Potasnik, he's the rabbi for the fire department, and he had a question a while back to discuss Allah and God. And he said, I won't get into that subject. We won't discuss it. The Muslims believe in Allah, but Rabbi Potasnik would not compare anything. Would you care to mention anything?
Yeah, when I did before, I'll do now also. Allah is taken from the name from Elikah. Elikah, which is, we use that word all the time. We have the same God as the Arabs. We believe in the same God, one God. So it's a paradox. See, the Christians believe in the Trinity, whatever that's supposed to mean. But it's a part of it is their God, who's the JC, we call her. But that's not our belief at all. We're not allowed to believe in anything like that. And we're in better terms with the Christians generally than with the Arabs, generally speaking. But we have in common, we believe in the same God. Right? As a matter of fact, I was speaking once to Rabbi Moshe Feinstein, the greatest rabbi of our generation. He said, Allah, that's the Arab's God, the same God that we have. He wasn't afraid to talk about it. They have the same God.
My dear brothers and sisters, I was asked the question whether Allah is the same God as the God of the Old Testament. And I would like to elaborate on that. The answer to that question is yes. The Muslim concept of Allah is exactly the same as the Jewish concept of Hashem. Therefore, no matter what you hear, some people like to claim that Allah is the moon god or whatever you hear, this is all nonsense. And whether the word Allah was used for something else before Islam, I'm not sure. Maybe. I'm not sure exactly. I'm not a linguist. But that's really not the important part. The important part is, what is Allah today? What does the word Allah mean today to Muslims? What it means today to Muslims is exactly the same what Hashem means to the Jews. That's really, there's no argument there. Our only argument between Jews and Muslims are whether Muhammad was a prophet or not. That's really the only argument. But the concept of God is, really exactly the same. And therefore, no matter what you hear, even if some Jews tell you that, we don't believe in the same God as the Muslims do, they're only saying this because of political reasons. And everybody knows this, since Jews and Muslims are at war in Israel, so some Jews may be prone to say, therefore anything Muslims do, it's wrong. They will believe in a different God, they do this. But this is all nonsense, and in fact, Rabbi Moshe ben Maimon, who was probably the biggest scholar that ever lived, he lived about 1,000 years ago, he said he was really critical of those who are, spreading lies just because of a political reason. And he was really critical, and he says those who say that Muslim concept of God is different and it's like idol, he says these are bad, this is bad people. I don't know exactly which word he used, but he was really critical of those people. And he says that, in fact, the Muslim concept of God is exactly the same. And not only that, he says if a Jew needs to pray, he is allowed to go to a mosque and pray together with the Muslims, because the Muslim concept of God is exactly the same as the Jewish concept of God. There's no argument there. So I hope this answers your question. And no matter what, by the way, one more thing I wanted to mention. Just like in English, we have the word God, right? Back maybe 1,000 years ago, I'm not sure what the word God meant. It could have probably be the name of some idol that was named God. And then eventually this term came into English language and it began to be used to a different, in a different connotation to the one God. So therefore, just like somebody who uses the word God today does not necessarily mean that he worships that idol that existed 1,000 years ago, right? Because this is just a word. The way it was used at that time is one thing, now it's used differently. Therefore, same thing with the word Allah. We go by what the word Allah means to Muslims today. It doesn't matter what it meant before Islam. It's not really relevant. So to answer the question, I want to repeat it and to make sure everybody really understands that. Yes, the Allah is really the same God of the Torah. Allah is the same God of the Torah. And as I said, the only argument Muslims and Jews have is whether Muhammad was a prophet or not. That's really the only argument. As far as God goes, or Allah goes, we believe in the same God. In fact, as a Jew, I can say, and I can freely say this, and without even any hesitations, I can use the Arabic phrase Allahu Akbar, and have no problem saying this. Allahu Akbar, I can say this all I want. And even the part of the Shahada that the Muslims say, Lo ilaha illa Allah, I can also freely say this, and I don't feel any, remorse about saying this, because their concept of God is exactly the same as the Jewish concept of God. Thank you for watching.